Hey guys, so I have an issue that I want to talk to all of you about. Silently, for the last 4 years, I've been abusing drugs. This was shortly after my marriage ended, which I felt a lot of guilt and shame over, and I cheated and lied to a woman that only wished to love me, and I broke a person in doing that. It was a little time after that I had a knee injury while I was in the Army, and they gave me 400 hydrocodone for a simple arthroscopic surgery, to which I took all of them. And from there, a month and a half later, they gave me 200 more for my checkup. And naturally, I took those as well. After those ran out, I had a 6-month time period where I was able to abuse those if I wanted to, because that's how long my script period length was. So I started procuring them illegally. And it just so happened that I was taking Percocet when I popped hot for it on a urinalysis. And unbeknownst to me, those two don't fall under the same category. So shortly after, I was generally under honorable conditions discharged from the Army, and I retained the majority of my benefits except for my GI Bill, which was a blessing, but also very unfortunate. And I held a lot of guilt over that, even to this day. So once that was done, I knew that I needed to change course. I needed to get away from that. So that's when I found Kratom. And I switched from traditional opiates to Kratom, and it helped tremendously. And it wasn't very long until I started abusing that as well. About 2 years ago, I found these pills that they sold at a local gas station at the time, which contained tianeptine and phenibut. Tianeptine in large doses acts like an opiate agonist, so it got me high, kind of like Oxy. The only issue is it has a very short half-life and is very short-lived, so I would only be high for maybe an hour and a half to 3 hours. The withdrawals are horrendous. They're the worst thing, along with the phenibut. And phenibut acts on your brain much the same way that alcohol does. It affects the GABA receptors. But along with those withdrawals comes the chance of seizures, blackouts, night terrors, heart racing, palpitations, and not being able to sleep for at least 6 days. And over the course of the last 2 years, I have gone on and off about 4 times. And each of those withdrawal experiences was a living nightmare, where I literally thought I was going to die, and everything I did was wrong. It plays on the most primal fears that you have. I'm not generally afraid to die, even in really bad instances where my life was in danger. I never really felt that fear, but this was completely different. So I moved to Virginia after I sold everything that I owned just to get up there. And I was off of it, and it was great. But mounting pressures from my relationship and the fact that I was having trouble with work, I just felt like I just needed a little boost. And I promised myself that if I could just use it responsibly, that I could make this work. And I'm a fucking idiot. So over the course of the next few months, my relationship began to decline, and eventually the relationship ended, to which I had a very good friend of mine give me a place to stay for free for some time. And I realized that at this rate, I was not going to be able to keep staying there. And I was also abusing our friendship for a place to stay, which was awful of me. So eventually I paid back any money that I owed, and I tried to give a little for him helping me out. And I moved back to Franklin, Kentucky. And then I was good. There was no phenibut or tianeptine here. They didn't sell it at any of the stations. And I just stuck with my kratom habit for a while. And over time, that got a lot worse. And it was about 6 months ago when I started seeing these bottles appear at the local head shops. And for the first few times, I resisted it. And I reminded myself that that was not a way to live. But I was very unhappy, and I wasn't seeking the proper mental health that I should have been. And I gave in. And progressively, the doses have gone up, and I've been spending more and more money up till recently, and now I'm spending at least $120 a day on this habit. I'm literally spending everything that I earn each day on it, and I'm not getting anywhere in life. I'm going to be going into bankruptcy after this detox so I can get my financial life together again, because I am in so much debt, it's ridiculous. And over the last 5 years, I have done nothing to better this in any way. It was about 3 months ago that I met the love of my life, Amanda, and I was terrified to let her in on this secret because of how others in the past have used this information that I've given them against me, and they've used it as a tool while we're fighting. Or I just knew deep down that that would happen regardless, and so I didn't disclose that with them. But she actually let me in, and she didn't belittle me. She didn't act better than me. She understood, and she had been there before with herself and with others really close to her. And she gave me the support that I needed to believe in myself, because I hadn't believed in myself in so fucking long. She never asked me to go to detox or therapy. That was a choice that I made on my own, which I'm thankful for. She just promised me that she would be here for as long as it took, because she could see something deep down in me that I couldn't see anymore. It was about 2 months ago that I reached out to the VA. I explained what was going on, and they had never heard of it before. Go figure. So over time, I was able to explain what these drugs were, what they did, how I obtained them, what they cost, and the withdrawal symptoms. And that's what worried them the most, was withdrawal symptoms, especially the seizures. So it being the VA, it took some time, but tomorrow I will be going into detox. We have a game plan. We have all the facts straight. And most importantly, I can finally be safe and hopefully comfortable during this experience. And I'll have the tools to help me succeed afterwards as well. I finally let people into my life on what's going on. And surprisingly, they all held me closer after telling them that. And I'll never be able to repay that. Because for the longest time, I didn't think I was worthy of other people's time in that manner. And I didn't want to inconvenience them. And nobody would ever want to love a drug addict. But that's wrong. And it sounds silly saying it out loud. So I implore you, if you have a habit or a problem, reach out to someone. Tell the people that you trust and love that are close to you. Bring them in and don't suffer through this silently. But more importantly, reach out to somebody that can actually help in a professional medical manner. You don't have to go through this alone, and you shouldn't. And I only wish that I had done this sooner, but the shame and regret and the fear held me back for so long. It doesn't have to be that way. It isn't that way. It's just yourself holding yourself back. I'm going to keep this video series going, at least for the next 3 months, maybe longer. This first week is going to be hell, but I'm even more fearful of the next few months as what's called post-acute withdrawal syndrome might kick in. But I'm going to stay hopeful, and I'm going to keep pushing because I know I deserve this. Have a good day, guys.